another video at Storehemana, and today we are going to be looking at some of the factors you need to consider when you are looking to buy land in Kenya, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about how you can buy land in Kenya as a foreigner. So before you embark on the land buying process in Kenya, you want to watch this video to the very end because I am speaking to you as somebody who bought land in Kenya and I had so many issues. Like, you can just watch the previous video before this one and you'll just learn how this went. And the property we are talking about is Starehemana, guys. It was a journey and a half. It took exactly 1 year from when I started the process until when I finally got the title in my name. And I'm just going to be sharing with you some of the things you need to watch out for when you are buying land in Kenya. And Starehemana is in the rural area. It is almost 400 kilometers west of Nairobi. So this video is going to be looking at mostly when you are buying land that is not within Nairobi, for example. Yeah. So first thing, when you are buying land, you need to determine exactly what you want. You need to know exactly what you want. So for example, in my case, I knew very, very well I needed a piece of land that is outside of Nairobi because I am a rural village girl and I wanted a property because I was buying for my retirement home. So I knew it was gonna be outside of the Nairobi metropolitan. And one of the reasons, because I need a lot of space. I do not thrive in crowded places. I love space. I love nature. And then I knew I wanted something with a lakefront. So that was something that was non-negotiable. So you need to know what you want from the very beginning, because this is what is going to determine the location, is going to determine the price, and it's going to determine any non-negotiables in your case. So like in my case, I knew it has to be a lakefront because I don't like salty water, because I just didn't want to deal with the challenges of what salty water does to staff. So obviously the coastal region was out. So I was left with the Lake Victoria because I also needed a warm area. I don't do very well in cold areas. So I had to move down to Lake Victoria. So that's why I ended up in Starehemana. It's warm, it's right by the lake, and very, very huge spaces for affordable prices. Step number 2, you need to be very, very, very patient. If you are looking to buy land in Kenya, you need to be very, very patient. And why is patience important? Patience is important for very many things. So, because back to number 1, when you know what you want may not be readily available. So if you are not patient, you're likely to end up with something that you don't want. So like in my case, for example, I knew I wanted a lakefront property, but it was taking so long to buy one. So I ended up buying another property that had a lake view and not a lakefront. And then about 2-3 months later, I ended up finding Starehemana. So here I am, I have spent money on this other property that is close to what I want, but not exactly what I want because I wasn't patient enough. And then suddenly I have found this other property, Starehemana, that is exactly what I want, but I don't have money. So that meant that I had to really go through a lot of hoops and loops to own Starehemana. So I paid up. I'm left with just some very little money left, but trust me, had I been patient, the ride would have been smoother. And now the main challenge I'm having is that, so when I'm almost finishing the payment for the Starehemana, like it's very little money left actually. Like I could actually pay it if I wanted to, but I just haven't paid. And but now I have money sitting on the other property that I don't need anymore. So guys, if only I had been patient. So that's why number 1, you need to be very, very patient because it helps you to get exactly what you want. Number 2, being patient minimizes any opportunities of you getting scammed, because one of the ways in which scammers take advantage of you is they put this sense of urgency. Like, hey, if you don't buy this property today, you won't find it tomorrow. Like, don't even bother going to check. By the time you travel from Nairobi or from America or from wherever you are, you'll find somebody else has taken it. there's like 3 people on the waiting list, yada yada. Guys, the world is not ending. If you don't get that one, there'll always be another property. Like, people are always constantly getting desperate and needing to quickly sell out what they have. So it's not like if you miss out on property A, like that's the end of the world. No, take your time and do not let any of these agents put pressure on you or anything. Number 3, which is almost tied to number 2, is that by being patient, it gives you time to do adequate due diligence. Because, guys, I cannot tell you the amount of drama that happens with the land in Kenya. Like, the land issues are just out of the roof. And you've been following the Kenyan news closely. Right now, we have people whose properties are being demolished because they didn't do due diligence, or they did due diligence, but because of corruption, somebody conned them and now they're paying the price. So guys, I cannot stress this enough. Take your time. It is even better to miss out on that property and eat your money than to be conned of your money. Be patient. Number 3, where possible, try to buy property from a referral. Like, don't just go and buy property from nowhere. So while this could swing either way, it minimizes the chances of you getting conned. And also, in case there's any dispute or anything, this person who referred you is likely to be like the go-between, and it just makes the process a little easier. So like in my case, the person who referred me is someone whom I met through an acquaintance. So when we were having the issues with somebody who had put caution on my land, claiming it was his and it wasn't, like, this person like kept reassuring me, like, I know the mzee who sold you this land. I know him personally. He's not a con man. Trust me, this person, the person who's put the caution is the one on the wrong. So just having that sense of assurance from my referral, like, it made things easier for me. It reduced my stress and anxiety levels, and it made me like just calm down and focus on what needed to be done at the time. And it helped me to proceed with caution and to just, focus more on securing my land when probably I would have just given up. So that is very, very important. And then what else you need to do before buying land in Kenya, or also if, let's say, you want to buy, whether you're a foreigner or whoever, you want to buy land in Kenya, make sure you visit the property. Guys, do not put your money on a property you have not visited, and especially if you are looking to stay there long term. Guys, even if you are in America, please get onto that flight. Take even 2 days, get on the flight, come and see. And especially if you're looking to come and eventually live on this property. If you're just buying for other people, that's fine. But if it is property you are invested in, like in my case, this is going to be, Starehe Manor is my retirement home. Like, I'm going to spend my sunset years there. Like, it has to be exactly what I want. Make sure you visit the property, guys. And there's many, many things about visiting the property. So personally, like you guys who follow me on my other YouTube channels, I believe life is so spiritual. So spiritual. So like in my case, when I was looking for the property where Starehe Manor currently sits, I always kept looking for signs everywhere. And if you have watched the one, I think it was the first or the second video on this channel, where I was walking down the hill, and then I saw a shopping center, like on the left-hand side of the property, and I was like, what shopping center is that? And the owner of the property is like, oh, that's Kameta. And I was like, wow, how coincidental. Kameta is actually the nickname my late mom, may her soul rest in peace, used to call me by. Like, all my entire life, my mom used to call me Nyakameta. Nyakameta means daughter of Kameta. That's what she used to call me. And then this particular area where I have property is where her ancestors originated. My mom is Nyachula. Chula means daughter of the island. My property is literally like almost in an island because it's by the lake, Victoria. So I was like, this, and my mom had just died like 2 or 3 months earlier. And I was just like, oh my God, this must be a sign. Like, my mom actually wants me to be here. Like, how coincidental can that be? So obviously, if maybe I had sent some random person there, maybe they wouldn't have made that connection. It wouldn't have clicked. But for me, just the fact that this piece of property had, like, the shopping center is in my nickname. This area is by the beach, and I literally see. So if you guys just go and watch that original video here on the channel for the view of the property, you can actually see the islands. One of those islands is where my mom originally came from. That's where her people come from. Chula is an island. One of those islands is where she comes from. So literally every morning I'll be waking up and I'm like, that's my mom's, like, my roots are right there. This shopping center will constantly remind me of her. And I was just like, life is spiritual, and this is one of the signs I'm gonna go by. So other than visiting the property just for the sake, you need to visit the property at least 2 times, and on 2 different occasions. One, during the rainy season. And again, I say, unless you're planning to like plant rice on that property or taro root, if you're going to use it for your residential, you don't want to buy property that is gonna have drainage issues, that floods, that you don't want that. So personally, I made sure I visited the property several times, and you guys have seen videos of the property in the dry season, and everything is so brown and the water is so blue. You have seen it when everything is so green and the water is so blue. And I managed to, so fortunately, like for me, my property is up the hill and it runs down all the way to the lake. So I really don't have issues with drainage, but it is very, very important that you visit the property in both seasons, during the dry season, so you know how bad it is. You start planning for your water sources, and also during the rainy season, just to know how does the ground fare when it rains. You do not want to be worrying about, am I going to build a house or am I going to deal with drainage? Make sure you visit the property in at least 2 seasons. Number 5 factor to consider when you're buying property in Kenya, when you're buying land in Kenya, involve the entire family from day one. Like the moment they tell you, okay, this is the mzee who owns this land, from that first visit, insist to talk to the wife. And where possible, make a point to talk to her separately. If it is the wife who is selling the land, make sure you find an opportunity to talk to the husband separately. If there are kids involved, make sure they come there, and like you find out, oh, do you have any kids? Where are they? You can maybe carry something like sweets or something, or just something, and make sure like you talk to them, like, what do you feel about this land? So that you don't have issues maybe one day, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years down the line, these very children coming and say, oh, this was our land. Our parents never even contacted us. We didn't even know it was being sold. And take pictures, take videos when you are with these people, because you're going to need this evidence someday. Kenyans can be funny, guys. I am one of them, but I'm just telling you, Kenyans can be funny. Do not be taken advantage of, okay? Talk to the members of that family from day one. And then cross related to this is find out, like the day when you, so I don't know about other places, but I know like in Homa Bay County, when you buy land, for you to go through the transfer process, it starts at the place where that land is. Yeah, so like for me, it has to start at Sarehe Manor, and we have the chiefs come, the village elder, the family, the husband, the wife, the son, everybody had to come there, because you have to like sign the transfer paperwork. So make sure when this paperwork is being done, you do it on a day when there's a communal activity happening. So for example, is there a wedding, a church day, like is it a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday if it's like a Muslim area, market day, or something that is going to make sure there's a lot of activity happening either in this home or in this community, and it gives you or even a funeral, it gives you an opportunity to interact with people that ordinarily you may never have a chance to interact with until you physically move to that area. So like in my case, I went there on a Sunday because at my property, at the top of my property, there is a church, a Legio Maria church. And on this day, I knew a lot of people in this area worship on this day. So on this very day, they were going to be coming. And these people know each other. So the moment they see, in the villages especially, people are very curious. Anytime they see any foreigner, they will identify you, they will greet you, they want to know why you're there. And anytime there's like a group of 3 or more people and the chief is there, everybody's curious to know what is happening. So I would like just chat people like, hey, do you know the owner of this property? This is whoever's property. Oh, nini, nini, like, so that you can hear what they have to say. And closely tied to that, do not underestimate what anybody tells. It doesn't matter if it is a child that tells you this is so and so's property. It doesn't matter if it is a drunkard. Listen to everybody. You never know who God is gonna use in your journey to own land. Listen to everybody who comes and tells you something. There's usually some truth somewhere. Listen to everybody. So like in my case, I was very fortunate. As I kept talking to everybody, I never had even one person claim or say that this Mzee had sold his land, even though somebody else was claiming it. It was so clear from everybody that I spoke to, everybody I had a chance to speak with, was very, very, very clear, forthright. This land has never been sold. Everybody else sold their land, but 4 families in this area did not sell, and this Mzee was one of those. So that alone just gave me the reassurance and to continue pursuing my case through and through and through and not give up. And then it also helped to put the relationship between the Mzee and myself very well, because at least I knew I could trust him, because it was an issue of his word versus the one who had put the caution. So just because everybody in the village was saying the same story the Mzee was telling me, it gave me confidence. And it means that even now that the case is over, the relationship between myself and the Mzee is still intact. Okay, you don't want a situation whereby something like this messes up your relationship and then you have a neighbor that you can't even talk to. Okay, in fact, the Mzee is the one who's taking care of the property right now, as I am away and I haven't yet relocated. And then last but not least, something you need to consider when you're buying land in Kenya, as you negotiate for the property, I already mentioned, never ever, even if you have all the money, never ever pay all the money in advance, even if you have all the money. Pay a deposit and then start the process and pay the rest of the money in bits. Make sure you have like an agreement in place. And one of the things you want to put in that agreement is tell the owner of the property to allow you to, at least maybe once you have made 50% of the payment, that you can start modifying the property. For example, put a fence here, build a mabati house there, or just something, start doing some activity on the land. And this is why this is very, very important. You do not want a situation whereby, let's say you've agreed to pay in installments, maybe it's taking 1 year or 2 years, and then once you have paid all the money, that's when this guy allows you to start using the property. The reason why you want a situation whereby you can start using the property even before you complete payment is that usually if that property is disputed, the moment you start any activity on it, suddenly people start springing from nowhere, coming to lay claim on the property. And that's exactly what happened to me. The Mzee was very generous. He allowed me to, as soon as I made the deposit, he allowed me to start fencing the property. The moment I started fencing the property, that's when this random person went and put a caution on the property. So you can see this helped me. As soon as I started fencing, the person put a caution, so I knew, oops, somebody's disputing. So it gives me chance to go and pursue the caution issue, which took a really, really long time, almost 6-7 months. But it was a better scenario to be in than you've already paid all the money upfront, and then there's this somebody who's laying claim, the land transfer process has not started. So do you focus on the transfer process, or do you focus on this caution issue? And maybe you don't have all the money. So for me, it worked in my favor because I didn't have all the money. So during this period, almost 6-7 months, when the issue was in the lands office trying to claim and have the caution lifted, it gave me time to go and continue looking for money to pay this guy, because of course when the land got into dispute, there was no way I could continue making any transfers. So it's very important that you start some activity on the land as soon as the land transfer process starts. You've paid a deposit, so that in case this land is in dispute, you will know immediately. Trust me, these random people, they always just sit somewhere waiting. When they see activity on the land, then boom, 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 they start laying claim. So those are some of the issues that I wanted to mention for you guys. So if you are planning to buy land in Kenya, make sure you consider these factors I mentioned. And in terms of buying land in Kenya as a foreigner, yes, you can buy land in Kenya as a foreigner. A foreigner can buy land in Kenya. The only difference is that, so for me, for example, my property at Starehe Manor is freehold, like I can own it for life. But if you wanted to own the same property, it will be leasehold. The government will lease it to you for 99 years and then you can renew it. So that's the main difference. But everything else is the same. You go through the same process, which you can watch the video. Before this one, I shared the same and the exact process for buying land in Kenya, which is the same for a foreigner and is the same for a resident, is the same for a citizen. Thank you very much for staying to the end. I will see you on the next one. Bye.